welcome to another episode of Hatching Eggs at my desk while I edit. Let's see what we get this time. Smooch 'em. Also spinning Pokestops. My bag is going to be full permanently from now on. Yes. Okay. I gotta appraise this one. I've hatched 2 now in the last couple days, so good IVs, defense on this one. I think the last one I hatched was defense also. Once I pile up a few more Tyrogues, I'm going to evolve them all, but right now it definitely seems like HP is going to get you Hitmontop, attack is going to get you Hitmonlee, and defense is going to get you Hitmonchan. Lots of reports of it being that way, and that's when you're evolving Tyrogue. More eggs. Hopefully another Tyrogue with HP as its highest IV. Magnemite. I catch a ton of Magnemites here at the apartment now. Looks like that's it. Back to work.
Excited for all these veggies.
Eggs for breakfast, eggs hatching here. This might include my 10K, so let's see what happens. Okay, Igglybuff. Yep, there they are. I got 3 10Ks hatching.
Really?
Oh, Gligar. That's a new one.
Wow.
Gligar, it's probably like the Scyther and Pincer of this generation. Did you also see Pineco in my Pokedex? I'm gonna hatch a Pineco right now. I already know. Ground and flying, even though it looks like a bug, and not very strong. It does evolve, but not until 4th gen, so give it a year at least. More 10Ks, I'm already expecting a Pineco. Yep, there it is. Pineco is a bug type. It evolves into a bug and steel type, Fortress, and well, I'm surprised that it's in 10Ks, but I already have 26 candies from that hatch. I actually like Pineco. It's one of my favorite Pokemon designs. Alright, last one. Let's see what it is. Dratini! I'll take it. Not Gen 2, but I'll definitely take it. I'm up to 83 candies on that. I don't know why I have to hold my phone up here, as if you need to see that I'm holding my phone. So, maybe it's so I can look up. Yeah, that's probably why I'm doing it. Anyway, breakfast soon. Just kidding. One more. There's one more. It's a 2K. Execute. Okay, now it's time for breakfast. Soon. Alright, now that I've finished my vegan sausage, let's get into the meat of today's episode. We're going to be talking about the best new movesets for every Pokemon, Gen 1 and Gen 2 included. Today I'm only going to be going over the new moves because we haven't done the math on all the legacy movesets yet to compare old moves that you can't get anymore with new moves. So this list today will tell you out of a Pokemon's current obtainable movesets, which ones are going to be the best. And if anyone is working on a spreadsheet that's going to compare all Pokemon overall and give us best damage per second rankings, please let me know, otherwise I'm going to get started on it pretty soon. But we're actually not starting yet, because I have to go back to Downey, so give me a minute. Alright. Thanks for being patient. Welcome back to my dimly lit room. And actually, since it's dimly lit, I should probably keep the hat off. I want to start by saying please keep in mind that these are preliminary calculations. These don't take into account energy gain. This is based on just the raw DPS of each move, and also accounts for stab. And of course I'm not going to read every single Pokemon's best moveset to you. I'm going to start with some highlights. I'll go through the top Pokemon with the highest attack stats, so this is sort of a best attackers, because this DPS, as you guys know, changes when the Pokemon is in a gym as a defender. So in case you are wondering, the Pokemon with the highest attack stats in Pokemon GO now are Alakazam, Dragonite, Gengar, Espeon, Tyranitar, Flareon, Kingler, Pincer, Gyarados, Ursaring, Scizor, Heracross, Machamp, Exeggutor, Jolteon, Kadabra, Arcanine, Houndoom, Hitmonlee. The list goes on, but there is a link to the Sylph Road website where you can find the full list. So let's start with the Gen 2 Pokemon, because I'm sure you're curious about those. Honestly, you're probably curious about both of them, but we're starting with Gen 2, because they're new. Espeon's highest offensive DPS moveset is Confusion and Future Sight, followed closely by Zen Headbutt and Future Sight. Tyranitar's best offensive moveset is Bite and Stone Edge, followed by Iron Tail and Stone Edge. And unfortunately for Tyranitar, even though Bite and Crunch both benefit from Stab, it is considerably weaker of a moveset compared to the two that I just mentioned. Ursaring's best moveset is Counter and Hyper Beam, and unfortunately Counter doesn't benefit from Stab, but Counter is a very strong move now. Well, it's new, but it's a very strong move. Scissor's best offensive moveset is Bullet Punch and Iron Head, and that's probably going to end up being the best offensive attacker in the game once we do those full comparison calculations. Heracross's best offensive moveset is Counter and Close Combat, both of which benefit from Stab. And if you're lucky enough to live in South America or travel there, Heracross is actually the strongest regional exclusive Pokemon at this point. Houndoom's best offensive moveset is Fire Fang and Foul Play, followed closely by Snarl and Foul Play, and Houndoom might actually end up being a better Dark-type attacker than Tyranitar because the DPS on Houndoom's Dark-type moves are much better than Tyranitar's. We'll go down a couple more. Donphan's best moveset is Counter and Earthquake. Unfortunately, Donphan doesn't have any Ground-type quick moves, so it's not going to have Stab on both of its moves. But like I said earlier, Counter is a very strong move, and it shares some type advantages with Ground, namely against Rock and Steel types. Granbull's best moveset is Bite and Close Combat, which I think is actually what my Granbull has, so that's good. But Granbull is Fairy type, and neither of those moves are Fairy, so no Stab bonus there, and also no shared type advantage, so puts the moveset in kind of a weird place. And finally for Gen 2, Ampharos's best moveset is actually a tie at this point between Charge Beam and Thunder, and Volt Switch and Thunder. Now the difference is going to come down to energy gain, and once we do full calculations, we'll come back and figure out which of these two movesets is actually going to be better. Alright, now moving on, or back, depending on how you look at it, to Gen 1 Pokemon. Alakazam's best moveset is, just like Espeon's, Confusion and Future Sight. Like I said earlier, Psycho Cut got a huge nerf, and it is no longer anywhere near the top damaging moves. So, sorry if you poured a ton of Stardust into a Psycho Cut Alakazam. We're going to talk about that issue in a future episode also, because there are a lot of people who are upset about how much Stardust they invested in Pokemon only to have their moves nerfed into the ground. Dragonite's new strongest offensive moveset is Dragon Tail and Hurricane, and unfortunately if you want two Dragon-type moves on Dragonite now, Dragon Tail and Outrage is actually its weakest moveset overall. Weakest moveset with Dragon Tail as a quick move. Gengar's best offensive moveset is now Hex and Sludge Bomb, although if I'm being honest, all of its movesets are relatively close together, so Hex and Sludge Wave, also good, and Hex and Shadow Ball is good as well, and that's two moves of the same type, which is what I prefer. Flareon's new best moveset is Fire Spin and Overheat, and that's probably going to be the strongest Fire-type moveset overall. So Flareon is probably our new best Fire-type attacker. Kingler finally has the option to have two Water-type moves. Unfortunately, it's not its strongest moveset, DPS-wise. Bubble and X-Scissor is actually going to be the strongest, but Bubble and Water Pulse is a close second, so Kingler might actually be worth something now. Pincer's new best moveset is Rock Smash and Close Combat, and even though Pincer's attack is slightly higher than Heracross and Machamp, it isn't fighting type, so its moves aren't going to benefit from Stab, so it's actually not going to be the best fighting type attacker. It could end up being the strongest bug type attacker with Bug Bite and X-Scissor, but we need to do the full calculations to figure that out first. Gyarados' current best offensive DPS is still Bite and Hydro Pump. Dragon Breath and Hydro Pump, a legacy moveset, is going to be slightly stronger, and Dragon Tail and Hydro Pump is just below Bite and Hydro Pump, so sorry I gave you those out of order. But to reiterate, Dragon Breath, Bite, Dragon Tail, all with Hydro Pump. Machamp's moves finally got, well, its existing moves got nerfed, but it got some new moves that make it an actual usable attacker. Counter and Close Combat are going to be its strongest moves, and it's probably going to be the best fighting type attacker with those moves. Both of Exeggutor's possible quick moves have changed, and its best offensive DPS is now Extra Sensory and Solar Beam. It does finally get a Grass-type quick move in Bullet Seed, so Bullet Seed, Seed Bomb Exeggutor might turn out to be one of the better Grass-type attackers, depending on where the DPS of those moves ranks. Jolteon's highest DPS offensively is still Thundershock and Thunder, but Volt Switch and Thunder follows very closely behind, so again, this is one that's going to depend on the energy gain of each of those moves. And finally, I'm going to end it on Arcanine, whose best offensive moveset is still Fire Fang and Fire Blast. Don't forget you can check out the link in the description at Pokemon Go Hub for the full list of every Pokemon's new best offensive DPS moveset. And remember, we haven't done extensive calculations to compare legacy movesets with new movesets, so don't transfer anything quite yet until we get all that taken care of so we know which legacy movesets are going to be better or worse than new movesets. With that said though, I do want to do evolutions of a couple of Gen 1 Pokemon that I've been holding on to in hopes that maybe they would get better movesets, and some of them actually did. Machamp is one that we know for sure has better new moves than it does legacy moves. So I have a couple Machokes that I evolved for experience and then left at Machoke, so I'm going to evolve one, maybe two, depending on what I get out of this one. I'm hoping for Counter and Dynamic Punch? Close Combat. Which one was it? I just said it. I don't remember. I guess I'll find out right now. Counter and Close Combat. That's it, right? That's it. Counter and Close Combat. So this is my new best fighting type attacker right here. I'm excited to try that out against the Blissies. I do also have the Haunter that I started evolving during one Q&A before realizing I didn't have enough candies to go all the way to Gengar. So I'm going to evolve this now and hope for Hex and ideally Shadow Ball, but either of its other two charge move options are also going to deal very strong DPS. So let's see if I can get lucky 2 times in a row here. That's the 4th. I didn't mention that one. It does have a 4th move option, Focus Blast, which is fighting type, and, well, it's the weakest of the 4 options, so gotta get back on my Ghastly Candy grind. Pidgeot is one that I didn't mention earlier, but Wing Attack did get nerfed pretty significantly. Air Slash is the new best flying type quick move. Pidgeot's new best offensive moveset is Air Slash and Brave Bird is actually the strongest charge move overall. Air Slash and Hurricane is also pretty strong, but not as good as Brave Bird. So let's see. Seems my luck hasn't really changed. Now, I'm going to get started doing the math to compare old and new movesets overall, but if anyone out there is working on a spreadsheet, please let me know, because that would save me a lot of time on this. In the meantime though, check out the links in the description to see which of the new movesets are going to be the best for existing and new Gen 2 Pokemon. It looks like there's an open slot in the gym at Furman Park, so I'm going to head down there, put a Pokemon in, and see what kind of nest it's become. I don't want to assume too quickly, but it could be a Sentret nest. There were a couple on the nearby list when I was on my way up here, and there's one here right now. I mean, if it is a Sentret nest, I guess that's good, get the common stuff out of the way early on, before people get tired of it. Not saying it will never come back, or never be another common Pokemon nest here, but if you're in Downey, and it is a common nest, now's the best time for it. Definitely not a Sentret nest. I checked the Sylph Road. Most recently it was reported as a Sandshrew nest, and clearly it is still a Sandshrew nest. And, well, I came here to put a Pokemon in the gym, but it looks like Elusaur beat me and put a Blissey in the bottom spot, which is a terrible idea because all it's going to do is lock your team out. It's going to make it a lot harder to train up. I did come here to put a Pokemon in the gym. I do want to train a little bit against Blissey and just see what it's like, and I'm going to show you exactly why you shouldn't put Blissey at the bottom of a gym unless it's already level 10. Timeout. Even using Pokemon that are a little more than half the CP of everything else in the gym, in the 1600 range, which is 600 CP less than Blissey, I can't get through it in time. Granted, I did miss the dodge on the Hyper Beam, but let's do this again. I'm going to use the same Machamp. I'm only going to dodge the Hyper Beams. Actually, that's probably not a good idea. it went a little bit better that time. Admittedly, if you can pull off the battle with Machamp with decent mechanics, get your dodges right, you can definitely do it. I got it. I got it up to level 9. I am not gonna put my Blissey at the bottom because a double Blissey to start would be awful. How about Dragonite, whose Steel Wing is still a pretty good defensive move. Alright, I made it in second. Time to go to my mom's house for dinner.